NMH at 1 highlights the news making headlines in Namibia and beyond, ranging from current affairs, community stories, sports and economic news. In the news today, activist Michael Amushelelo compares his Independence Day arrest to the start of apartheid. NamDia explains their role in the community. And 11 die following a roof collapse in China. Follow all our programs on 1up2.com or DSTV channel 285 and GoTV channel 25 in Namibia. Stick around, midday news update coming right up. We'll now take a quick ad break and return with our midday news update.
Welcome to Active Kids, a daily TV show that sparks creativity, learning, and fun for young minds. With exciting activities and lessons, Active Kids inspires curiosity and a love for learning.
New face to the
15.
The perfect mix of play and education. Don't miss out on the fun. Tune into Active Kids on NTV every weekday at 10 o'clock and let the adventure begin.
Welcome to My.NA Cars, your ultimate destination for everything automotive.
I am your host, Diana Master.
Teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Discover the latest models, innovative technologies, and expert insights from our passionate hosts. Learn essential maintenance tips and get exclusive behind-the-scenes access to the automotive industry. Don't miss My.NA Cars on NTV every Thursday at 2100 hours. Tune in and ignite your passion for automobiles.
To another exciting episode of Iran Work Talk.
Is die weer en vertel ook vir julle waar die vis heel moontlik kan byt.
In today's midday news update, the Office of the Prime Minister, in collaboration with the African Union Commission, hosted an inaugural meeting of the Steering Committee and the Technical Working Group of the African Multi-Hazard Early Warning and Early Action System for Climate Change. The meeting held this morning will continue up to Friday, which will allow discussions to take place regarding the implementation of the AMHEWAs in Africa. According to Deputy Minister of International Relations and Cooperation, Janelle Matundu, Namibia is vulnerable to climate change just as much as other AU member states. Matundu called for further investment for combating initiatives in Namibia. Visual News highlights local stories from across Namibia right here on NMH at 1. Stick around. Getting into today's visual news, following his appearance at the Windhoek High Court today, activist Michael Amushelelo compared his arrest in connection with the protest march on Independence Day to the start of the apartheid regime. Amushelelo appeared in the High Court during an appeal application he has brought against the Magistrates Court's decision to deny him bail. Parliamentarian Ina Hengari and activist Dumbulukeni Nauyoma, who were arrested with Amushelelo and appeared with him in the Magistrates Court, have both been released on bail. Irene Marie van der Walt reports.
Now, obviously, as a husband, I'm unable to be there for my wife, and especially at this moment where she needs me the most. But despite that, we still need to face the realities on the ground. And that is to say that we still have a lot of our young people who are unemployed. We still have a lot of our people who still do not have gainful employment. We still have a lot of workers who are still suffering. So these are the issues that keep me up at night in my, 1 meter by 1 meter cubicle cell that I'm currently being held in. I was obviously held for over 37 days in solitary confinement, which is against the Correctional Act, where you cannot hold someone unlawfully. Now, the state is obviously trying by all means to try and destroy me mentally and in whatever capacity they are able to do so. But I should inform the country that no matter what it is that they throw at me, that I'm more than prepared to face whatever challenges and whatever it is that they obviously wish to implore on me. But the struggle against injustice and inequality, it's a struggle that should not stop. And we as Namibians should realize to say that these are just tactics to silence those who are critical against government. And I can guarantee you that things are only going to get worse if we turn a blind eye. Because today it might be me, but tomorrow they might start silencing the media. Tomorrow we don't know who's next that's going to be silenced. So we should never allow inequality to breed in this country. And we should never allow injustice to become part of our society. Because our society is formed on 3 pillars, which is liberty, unity, and justice. Because if we go back, this is how systems such as apartheid, which was brutal, started. They just started by silencing one individual. Tomorrow, it becomes mass silencing. It starts with one voice. Tomorrow, it's the whole silencing of all the voices. So we should never allow our voices to be silenced in whatever accord or in whatever manner.
NamDia this morning hosted a media day at the Windhoek headquarters where the company's Chief Executive Officer Alisa Amopolo explained the role that Namibia Desert Diamonds plays in the community. Limba Mupetami was there.
And superior governance is one of our underlying pillars. But we also know that diamond industry historically a 100-year trade. There's been a lot of secrecy around it. And we want to remove that cloud of secrecy. But we also recognize that we are custodian of Namibian people's assets, and you are the voice of the people. So we want you to really have this platform where we could have dialogues and engagement, so that you could really zoom into our beautiful journey of Namibian diamonds. We have 44,000 heritage to showcase upstairs in the production area where you'll be going. And there you can get to feel and see the beauty of the Namibian diamonds. I don't know how many of you have been here before.
I haven't been here.
Oh, you've been here. Oh, all of you have been here. But often just to cover. I always say medias are now here to cover, but today is your day to really get to also hear the story behind the scene. So let's just move on. So I've just spoken about the pillar where we are having this visit, that we want to ensure optimal marketing and sales strategy. And stakeholder management, and under this we really have a pillar where we need to make sure that 85% of our stakeholder engagement plan is implemented.
After the break, the Namibian Sun leads us into the newspaper review segment. Stay tuned.
Welcome to Active Kids, a daily TV show that sparks creativity, learning, and fun for young minds. With exciting activities and lessons, Active Kids inspires curiosity and a love for learning.
New face to the
15.
The perfect mix of play and education. Don't miss out on the fun. Tune into Active Kids on NTV every weekday at 10 o'clock and let the adventure begin.
Thank you for staying with NMH at 1. We now take a look at what the lead stories are in Namibia's daily newspapers. Starting us off, claims of political interference have rocked the Namibian police after Inspector General Joseph Shikongo's plan to reshuffle some of his regional commanders failed to materialize amid allegations of resistance from some quarters. At the center of the controversy are 3 regional commanders, Johanna Ngondo from the Kavango East, Andreas Haingura from the Omaheke region, and Heinrich Chivede from Ochodonjupa. Ngondo was supposed to replace Chivede in Ochodonjupa, while Haingura was meant to make a move to Kavango East and Chivede to Omaheke, but Namibian Sun has been reliably informed that the transfers have now been halted. Onto the paper's page 3, the former People's Liberation Army of Namibia Combatants Association convened in Ongwediva over the weekend to engage on how it can ensure that the SWAPO party regains its 2/3 majority in the upcoming national elections. The group vowed to defend SWAPO while it has its sights set on restoring the ruling party to its former glory. The one-day joint workshop for regional coordinators, mobilizers and commissars was held at Betty's Park. Moving over to the Republican, the Supervisory Authority for Financial Institutions in Namibia, NAMFISA, may not disclose any information on matters related to the state of a medical fund. NAMFISA cannot therefore comment on the solvency of BankMed Namibia. The authority responded to questions about the medical fund that voluntarily liquidated itself and is believed to be bankrupt, and why action was not taken earlier when it was seen that the fund had already been sailing in stormy waters for years. The reason for the silence is cited as Section 30 of the NAMFISA Act, which states that no information may be disclosed in this regard. Onto the paper's page 3. As part of its initiatives that build up to the 2024 Namibia Tourism Expo, Namibia Media Holdings last week launched its Past Rebooted initiative. The project is designed to tie in with the Beyond Borders theme, which for the first time featured as part of program and workshops at this year's expo. On Friday morning, NMH hosted a number of business executives at Arabush Travel Lodge in Windhoek. Past Rebooted focuses on existing Namibian business acumen that dates back to the humble beginnings of tradesmen like Herero Chief Maherero Ka Shamua and Nama Chief Jan Jonker Afrikaner, who traded in cattle. On its front page, the Algemene Zeitung today leads with the event hosted last Friday, which saw the publishing house Namibia Media Holdings launch its Past Rebooted initiative aimed at recording Namibia's business community's past and in the process determine its way forward. During the event, a competition for a diamond to the value of 100,000 Namibian dollars was launched, and seeing that Past Rebooted is pretty much aligned to the main theme of the Tourism Expo Beyond Borders, the company also announced the winner of the Tourist of the Year 2022-2023 competition. On its page 2, the Algemene Zeitung has published a contribution written by Anton von Wietersheim, a member of the Constituent Assembly of Namibia from 1989 to 1990, has now voiced a serious concern about the ease in which the most sacred document of the Namibian democracy has been summarily changed by Namibian parliamentarians who seemed to allow themselves to abuse their rights as politicians. Von Wietersheim points to the dangers associated with such a fundamental change to the personal rights and freedoms enshrined in the Namibian constitution, quite apart from the fact that these are also rights of minority groups, of which the LGBTQ+ community is but one. We'll get into the second half of our newspaper review segment after the break.
To another exciting episode of Talk.
Lees die weer en vertel ook vir julle waar die vis heel moontlik gaan byt.
Continuing right along with our newspaper review segment, the Namibian newspaper reports that Namibia's electricity prices have seen consumers struggling to keep up with the increasing cost of living. This comes after the Electricity Control Board announced tariff increases for the Irongo Regional Electricity Distributor with 9%, the Central North Electricity Distributor with 7.6%, the Northern Regional Electricity Distributor with 9.8%, the Omaeke Regional Council with 3.3%, and the Sinered Okahanja Joint Venture with 7.3%. The city of Windhoek has applied for a tariff increase of 14% late and is yet to obtain the regulator's approval. On page 3, Botswana press freedom is under fire as the recent arrest of 2 prominent journalists has sparked outrage among media organizations and editors in Namibia and elsewhere in Africa. On Thursday, Raida Gabatuse, the editor of the Botswana-based newspaper Mehi, the reporter Innocent Selatiwa were reportedly arrested at their offices by approximately 10 armed members of the Directorate of Intelligence and Security Services in a shocking display of intimidation. Moving over to New Era, excessive amounts of money at the Guardian Fund, a national investment vehicle comprising unclaimed inheritance, is being invested at an inadequate rate of return of as low as 5.5% by some fund managers. This is raising questions about the administration of the fund, which industry insiders say should be producing minimum returns of at least 8% in the short to medium term and up to 12% over the long term. At least 480 employees of Etosha Fishing, one of the oldest fishing companies in Namibia, will be without jobs as of next month if the company goes ahead with the intended retrenchments and closure. The company notified the Labour Commissioner of its intention to terminate the employment contracts in April this year, as required by the Labour Act, Act 11 of 2007. The mainstay of its business over the years has been the canning of pilchards for leading brands such as Lucky Star and Glenrick, South Africa. However, Etosha Fishing has been battling to stay afloat since 2015 due to a decline in pilchards that ultimately resulted in a ban on the harvesting of pilchards in 2018. Moving over to MarketWatch, the South African Reserve Bank has revised its headline inflation rate down from 6.2% to 6% for 2023. It also lowered its 5% in 2024 before stabilizing at 4.5% in 2025. It also lowered its food price inflation forecast for 2023 from 10.8% to 10.3%, but SARB Governor Lesesha Kganyago warned that food prices remain high and the risk of drier weather conditions in the coming months has increased. Now, a total of 40 participants from conservancies in the Waterberg area were last week trained to sustainably harvest devil's claw. We dive into the story as we head into economic news after the break.
We are so excited to be kickstarting your morning with entertainment. Everything was happening during this past weekend.
Yes.
Exciting news.
Wow, no, she was killing it already.
In my opinion, I don't see anything wrong with him serving the full term.
As well as keeping you informed on the issues that you need to know happening in and around our country.
In today's economic news, a total of 40 participants from conservancies in the Waterberg area were last week trained to sustainably harvest devil's claw. The plant is used as a herbal remedy for pain and inflammation. Namibia is the world's biggest exporter of devil's claw, with a market share of some 95% and an export volume of between 400 and 600 tons annually. According to the Environment Ministry, Namibia exported close to 1,000 tons of devil's claw in 2019. These export volumes seem to have declined. One important reason was that actual plants available are noted to be declining, it said. However, export value hovers around between 80 million Namibian dollars to 100 million Namibian dollars annually. Some 50% is paid directly to rural producers and local traders. The training was facilitated by the Environment Ministry in collaboration with GIZ Biodiversity Economy at Okakarara and aimed to foster sustainable income streams and biodiversity protection in Namibia. Now let's take a look at the economic indicators, also proudly brought to you by Bank Windhoek. The Namibian dollar trades at 22.97 to the British pound and 19.87 to the euro. 2 Namibian dollars and 49 cents buys you 1 Chinese yuan. All of these maintained their prices on the NSX stock exchange. Local index maintained, while overall index closed on a downturn of 0.19%. Most commodities are up, save for copper, which is down by 1.41%, trading at $8,421 per ton. Now, at least 13 people were killed when a soldier in the East Democratic Republic of Congo opened fire on people gathered to mourn his deceased child. More on this as we get into African news after the break.
Namibians are still safe.
Everywhere else, the Supreme Court said we are not going to rely on foreign judgments.
By all means, we try to not make journalists public figures, but at the end of the day, they are.
Very good evening. My name is Tewen Jebela, your host.
With their Protestant offsprings.
But the implementation, like she says, is another thing.
We now expand beyond Namibia's borders to give you the latest news from the African continent here on NMH at 1. At least 13 people, including 9 children, were killed when a soldier in the East Democratic Republic of Congo opened fire on people gathered to mourn his deceased child on Saturday night, the army and a local official said on Sunday. The shooting occurred in the village of Nyakova on the banks of Lake Albert in Congo's eastern Ituri province. The soldier opened fire on all those around him. A dozen people died, Ituri army spokesman Jules Ngongo said via telephone. Search teams are looking for the soldier, a member of Congo's Navy, and an investigation into the incident has been opened, he said. Village Chief Oscar Baraka Mugua said 13 people were killed, including 9 children, and it wasn't clear what led the soldier to begin shooting. Ghana's sanitation minister resigned on Saturday over reports staff found and stole stashes of local and foreign money from her home, she said in a letter to the president in which she denied any wrongdoing. Cecilia Abena Dapa made headlines on Friday after 2 former household staff appeared in court accused of stealing cash and personal belongings from the minister and her husband between July and October 2022. Prosecutors told the court that the accused brought houses and a vehicle with the stolen money and gave some of it to their relatives. They have not yet commented on the accusations, but newspaper reports on the $1 million, 300,000 euros and millions of local cedis allegedly stolen from Dapa's home sparked outrage against the minister on social media and calls for a resignation. Many question the origins of sums of cash in a country where some members of President Nana Akufo-Addo's government have been embroiled in corruption scandals. The presidency accepted Dapa's resignation and lauded her work without commenting on the allegations. Stick around, we'll be back with international news after this short ad break.
Welcome to What's Cooking, where culinary passion meets expert insights.
Somebody must really want to cook and want to cook good food.
Immerse yourself in the bustling world of professional kitchens as top chefs create mouthwatering dishes. Join us for in-depth interviews as our host explores the experiences and expertise of our guest chefs. Don't miss out. Tune in to What's Cooking on NTV every Friday at 2100 hours and let the culinary adventure begin.
Now for our international news. 11 people have died after the roof of a school gymnasium in northeast China collapsed while it was being used by a girls' volleyball team, state media reports. Many of the victims are children, eyewitnesses told local media, although this is yet to be officially confirmed. Anguished parents have thronged a nearby hospital seeking updates. Only 8 of the 19 people who were inside the gym in the industrial province of Heilongjiang survived. A preliminary investigation found that perlite, a form of volcanic glass, had been illegally piled on the roof, soaking up rainwater, which caused the collapse. The coach of the middle school's girls' volleyball team was heard calling out the students' names as rescue teams clawed through the rubble in Xixiha City, China National Radio reported. Parents questioned school officials, saying there had been a lack of proper communication on the rescue effort, which stretched until Monday morning. The leader of Spain's opposition Conservative Party, Alberto Núñez Feijóo, has claimed a victory in a snap election, but without the result he needed. Even with the support of the far right, his Popular Party has fallen short of a majority in parliament. The cheers at the rival socialist camp were just as loud as Socialist Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez declared the reactionary bloc has failed. While both can claim success, Spain is left with an inconclusive result, but Mr. Sánchez has been vindicated in his controversial decision to call the vote in the searing heat of a Spanish summer when election day temperatures reached 40 degrees Celsius in some parts of the country. Turnout topped 70% as voters sensed the importance of the election, breaking off from the holidays to vote in swimwear and with beach gear in tow. Now we'll be right back with our local sports news. Don't go anywhere.
Welcome to Active Kids, a daily TV show that sparks creativity, learning, and fun for young minds. With exciting activities and lessons, Active Kids inspires curiosity and a love for learning.
New face to the 15.
The perfect mix of play and education. Don't miss out on the fun. Tune in to Active Kids on NTV every weekday at 10 o'clock and let the adventure begin.
get into our local sports news. Prop Kevin Kluter's FNB Rehoboth team scored their first win against FNB Unam at the Unam Stadium in many years as their 31-25 victory on Saturday kept them strongly in the hunt for a top 4 finish in the NRU Premier League. Other than current front-runners FNB Kudus, FNB Wanderers and Trusco United, very few teams have achieved success at the students' team's fortress in front of their Red Army fans since 2015. Tries by Diego Lupsa, normally a centre but playing flank, and lock Jerome Schumann, as well as 2 tries by scrum half Michael Bush, put Rehoboth on their way to leading 14-10 at halftime and ultimately keeping their nose in front until the end. The Standard Bank Namibia Secondary School Rugby Under-19 Super League continued this weekend with some mouth-watering fixtures as the Schumann's Group Windhoek Gymnasium Lions took on the Otto House of Windhoek Afrikaans Private School, while Windhoek High School travelled to the coast to take on PSG Walvis Bay Private School, and PSG Pro Ed took on the OK Foods Moria. In the Friday game, the Super League defending champions Lions proved too tough for VAP as they won 39-13 in a game where Surami Kambobo scored a hat-trick. It was a tough game, but the boys really showed up. My performance was really a team effort, so I am grateful we got the win, said Kambobo after the game. Getting into our next story, Leg 6 of the National Motocross Championship Series was held at Galena MX Park near Brakwater on Saturday, where 42 riders battled for championships points in their respective classes. Full-on action was the name of the game, with well-prepared competitors involved in hot racing ahead of the selected national team's departure to the Africa Cup of Nations next month in Cape Town, South Africa. Mark Stenegal's talent once again proved to be without equal in Namibia, winning both the open class as well as the King of the Dirt race. Stick around, international sports news coming right up.
Welcome to My.NA Cars, your ultimate destination for everything automotive.
I am your host, Diana Master. Teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Discover the latest models, innovative technologies, and expert insights from our passionate hosts. Learn essential maintenance tips and get exclusive behind-the-scenes access to the automotive industry. Don't miss My.NA Cars on NTV every Thursday at 2100 hours. Tune in and ignite your passion for automobiles.
In international sports news this afternoon, Max Verstappen cruised to another majestic victory on Sunday, reeling off a record 12th straight win for Red Bull as he dominated the Hungarian Grand Prix with a textbook drive from lights to flag. The defending double world champion grabbed the lead from pole sitter Lewis Hamilton at the start and remained in control for his 7th successive victory, his 9th in 11 races this year and the 44th of his career. More significantly, it was Red Bull's 12th consecutive win, breaking a 35-year-old record they had shared with McLaren, who won 11 straight races in 1988 with Alain Prost and Ayrton Senna as their driver pair. Verstappen came home a massive 33.7 seconds ahead of McLaren's Lando Norris, with his Red Bull teammate Sergio Perez in third. You're watching NMH at 1. If you're just joining us, we'll get into the highlights from today's broadcast after this break.
To another exciting episode of Iran Work Talk.
Is die weer en vertel ook vir julle waar die vis heel moontlik gaan byt.
You're watching NMH at 1. If you're just joining us, here are the news highlights. At least 13 people, including 9 children, were killed when a soldier in East Democratic Republic of Congo opened fire on people gathered to mourn his deceased child on Saturday night, the army and the local official said on Sunday. 11 people have died after the roof of a school gymnasium in northeast China collapsed while it was being used by a girls' volleyball team, state media reports. In sport, Max Verstappen cruised to another majestic victory on Sunday, reeling off a record 12th straight win for Red Bull as he dominated the Hungarian Grand Prix with a textbook drive from lights to flag. Those have been your highlights.